All right, guys. DJ with Life and Health Insurance Consultations and Three Chord Meadows. Rather than bore you, kind of what we do, we're insurance. Obviously, we can help you with a lot of things. But kind of tell you my story, how we got here, me and my wife. So, born and raised here in Colorado Springs. Got divorced in 2010, along with my current wife. Now she got divorced about the same time, and we met in 2010. Towards the end, she had 2 kids from her previous marriage, and I had 2 from mine. So we started dating. We're a couple, 3 months. I called it off, freaked out. Just
Oh
knew.
man.
And then then probably we still hung out. We were friends. A couple, 3 months later, I called it back on, and she likes to remind me of that, like in public, often. So, so we dated, did the blended family thing, tried to figure that out. Still trying to figure that thing out. I don't think it ever will. But so she lived in her place, I lived in my place. We kept that way for a few years, and then we finally moved in together. I was doing my sprinkler stuff. She was working as a musical therapist, teaching at Pikes Peak Community College. So she was working with kids that were like 0 to 2 with delays. So she would go into houses and sit down with them, play with them, music,
Okay.
all this kind of stuff. So all of that stuff for 3 jobs to make like $40,000 a year. Single mom, 2 kids. And so we were together, living separately. We finally moved in together. She rented her house, moved in with me, and so we're like in a 2,000 square foot house, 6 of us, but my kids were just part-time, was there back and forth, so it wasn't always there. So we're like, maybe it's time that we get a bigger house. We start looking around what it would cost to get a house our size, what we need in a decent part of the part of town. It's pretty pricey. So we had some property in the family that my dad's had, some 35-acre lots. He's like, what did you think about building out here? So, okay, it's a little ways out there. I mean, it's probably 25, 30 minutes from here. And so we did that, and that was in 2014. We started the build. Did everything that I could, general contracted it. And about that same time, Andy had ran into a old friend at a coffee shop who does health insurance, and he kind of going back and forth. This is what I do. This is what I do. He said, oh, I think you'd be great in health insurance. She goes, well, yeah, think about it. And she's like, well, what could I make? And he's like, what do you make now? He's like 40, and he just laughed at her. He's like, yeah, no problem. You're gonna make more than that. So she said, she's like, I think I'm gonna do this, but I gotta quit my job. She said, okay, we'll do it. I'll kind of float us. I mean, we're gonna have to tighten things up, but we'll get there. So she started, and like commission job, you don't make anything. So it was lean for a while. So we moved in 15, April of 15, proposed to her 15. We got married in 16. And then we had all these people. She's from Michigan, so all these people out of town. So we're out east on the prairie, rented a few tents, some plywood on the ground for our dance floor. Then we had people like, oh, this is beautiful out here. This is like great. And we're like, really? This is kind of flat. And we take it for granted. We've been living out here. And I never thought about it. And then Mandy comes like, oh, why don't we do a wedding venue? I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, kind of blew her off. Yeah, a few months later, I think it'd be cool to do a wedding venue. No, I don't really want to. It's gonna be expensive. And she kind of kept hounding me. And then she's like, I really want to do this. And at the time, she was busy in the fall. And in the summer, it just kind of slowed down for her, but it was my busy season. So she goes, well, maybe I'll do the wedding venue, kind of make up what I don't do in the summer. So we were in Vegas at a trip that she qualified for, and that's when we decided to do it. So we started looking into what cost would be, and I said, we're going to do this. It's going to be, we're going to do this for cash. So we're not going to get any money to loan out, so we don't get weddings. We're not panicking. I'm like, oh my God, we got a payment to make. So we started off with a barn. And before we even had the barn, our first wedding was a couple that we had a field. We didn't have it up. She kind of started saying, this is what we're doing. And they're like, okay, we'll get married here. I said, well, next year there'll be a barn. I promise you. They gave us $1,000. I'm like, I guess we got to do it now. So we had the barn up for them. We built a little pavilion at the time, but we had porta potties, and that does not work well with bridesmaids' dresses, trying to
Oh my
squeeze them in
goodness.
there.
Oh.
So the following year, I built bathrooms, little bridal suite attached to it. So with that, she started to get busy with the health insurance, like really busy to the point like she's about to burst. And so I'm trying to get out of my sprinkler stuff. And I said, "Yeah, I can help you. What do you do with the life insurance?" She's like, "I just send it away. I don't have the capacity to do that. I need help with health insurance. Maybe I can help you." So I got my health and life, started helping her with this kind of stuff. And now the wedding venue it's not a burden, but it's harder to do. And we got to, it's not a full-time gig, so we got to turn quite a few people away. I think we turned away 10, 12 people this year already because we're booked. So yeah, it's kind of the whole how I am here right now with a wedding venue and a life insurance. It's 10 years ago, if you told me I'd have been in any of this, you're a liar. Like, never even thought about it. So yeah, here we are, just growing. And we even talked to a gal this morning about some marketing stuff, web stuff, CRM stuff. I'm sure if any of you guys have networked long enough, you know Frank Sinclair. We're working with him, so we're just really trying to really grow here. And just, yeah, I was going to even do home inspecting. That was going to be something that I even shadowed a guy here for a brief time and kind of got into that, and it just no spark in there. So instead of trying to start an entire new business on top of our wedding venue, health insurance, home
So
inspecting.
you just do health insurance?
No, we do health, we do life,
Health
and
and life.
we do help people with financial stuff also. So yeah, so we're just trying to grow a business instead of keep creating them. So yeah, any questions? I do have a book here when I help people with financial stuff. If you guys want one, you're more than welcome to have one. Stuff. Take one. If you don't worry. You know someone that wants one.
How much does life insurance usually charge somebody? Cost somebody?
It just depends how old you are, how much you want.
But it's not that expensive, right? It's pretty
The younger
affordable.
you are, the cheaper it is. It can get pretty pricey as you get older.
So you're less likely to get life insurance, like if you skydive and stuff?
No, it's a company. I didn't write the book, but I will sign
No.
it for another $5. As well as greatest insurance.
Come show the
Pay for
book
gas
in the
somehow.
video.
Right.
I'll take one.
Did you get one?
I think they're
No.
together.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Get one.
I do.
So, no, life insurance, it just depends. Again, are you a smoker, are you not? How much are you wanting to get covered for it? Do you want long-term care wrapped in that? Do you want living benefits wrapped up in that? So there's not just, it's like asking like, how much does a house cost?
Yeah.
But it does depend on how many assets you have, like what you need to cover if you die.
Yeah, but
That's
as
what
far
I
as
was
as far as cost goes, I'm going to tell you, if you've got a $500,000 home and you've got kids and you've got student loans, you got to get kids through college. I'm maybe $1 million, $2 million up there. If you're just a single guy that
You don't own anything.
doesn't really own anything, you want to cover your funeral expenses, well, write you for something like that. And so just.
I just think people think that it's something that's not affordable.
No, and I think last time I mentioned, I did a quick calculation, I think on a 28-year-old male non-smoker for $500,000. I can't remember if I did 20 or 30 years. It's like $30
A month?
a month.
Really?
Yeah, super cheap.
Is long-term care pricey? I heard it was very pricey.
It can be. Now there are products now within life insurance that you can get long-term care in it, and it's a lot cheaper way to get long-term care. So there's things called like IULs and universal life, indexed universal life, and so within that you can get some long-term care. But again, you start getting. We did a quote for a gal who wanted it, and she was 68 or 9, and I mean, it was going to be like $500 a month.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
just.
Ouch.
You know, because the chances of her needing it are going to be very significant. Is that once you're over, it's like 60 or 65, you've got a 70% chance that you're going to need some kind of long-term care. And sadly, you got, 11, 12, 13% of people who actually have long-term
Yeah.
care. And you've got, 4, depending if you're in a private room or a semi-private room, I mean, you're talking anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000 a month in some kind of facility. So the government, it is one of the biggest expenses on our government right now. Washington State just imposed a tax, it's like 58 cents on every $100, that if you do not have long-term care, they are going to take that out of your paycheck unless you have some kind of proof that, like, hey, I've
What
got
is
long-term
this?
care. This is Washington State.
Oh, really?
And it only gets you up, I don't quote these numbers here, but I think it gets you up to somewhere around $36,000, which isn't a whole lot. And then if you leave Washington State, you don't get to take that with you and use it in Colorado, let's
Is there
say.
any other state that does that?
Jersey does a lot of
Not
places
yet,
like
but
that, too.
Colorado's looking maybe in the next 3 years or so. Oregon, California usually follow close to behind them. So I think it's gonna happen personally. It's just Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, huge expense on the government. So they're trying to start pushing that on to people.
Understand.
So,
It's probably only gonna get worse, I would imagine,
Yeah.
aging, and then you have the high disabled communities, number of disabled communities too now.
people are living longer.
They're living longer.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Who do you write your policies for?
what do you
What
mean?
company?
Whoever. Yeah. Yeah. I can
Do you
shop
use,
whoever.
like, Pac Life, or do you
I can use Pac Life, I can use Nationwide, I can use Transamerica, Prudential. It just depends on what you're looking for. Something might work better for you with Nationwide, this person Prudential, so it's just kind of individual. So that's a nice thing. I'm not stuck. I'm not captive with any one insurance agency. So even if there's a company that's Crump, that even if you got you're just a very high risk person that nobody really wants, you can send it to them and they will send it out and shop. Be like, all right, I got this guy. He's kind of unhealthy. He smokes, maybe on the older side, looking for this coverage, and they'll just kind of go out there and say, hey, who will do this? Any of you? Sometimes they come back with somebody, sometimes they can't find anybody. So. Yeah.
Anyone have any questions?
Unscrewed.
All righty.
All right, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.